Alright, we are back, everyone. I'm going to have to actually use the tabs and stuff, hopefully. Okay, now the maps work, and we have the VPN running now. I turned it back on, and we're just going to have to do whatever we have to try and keep the VPN up, so that way we can be protected. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. If it does, I don't know what's going to be going on anymore, but I've got to say, I try and keep up a very positive tone about the DDoS attacks that happen on these streams. But honestly, it's wearing me out on top of everything else. And so we're going to try and keep going with the news, but it is about as exhausting to me as it could ever be. So we're going to, of course, just resume back where we left off. Hopefully the video runs. But here we can see a Russian T-64 getting absolutely slammed by the Ukrainians, and hopefully the crew burning in a fiery death. So let me get that back to the very start of this video. And of course, copyrighted music. So here you can see the drone looking at the Russian tank. It gets popped. The GRU starts to roast. Looks like none of the crew bailed, fortunately. And it looks like it was a T-64BV, which is a slightly upgraded version of the T-64, which the Ukrainians use by and large as their sole main battle tank, along with the T-84s and the Russian captured vehicles of the wide assortment that they've gotten of T-72Bs, T-72B3s, and so on. But another Russian vehicle destroyed in the Severodonetsk area, and it looks like things are going pretty well for the Ukrainians, at least in terms of inflicting losses. But in terms of this actual front altogether, it doesn't look like it will be doing all too well, and here's the reason why. We saw that today, and this seems to be a largely true video, of course it was from a Russian source, which does throw in a little bit of uncredibility, but we did see a headquarters unit of a Ukrainian brigade, we're assuming it's the 80th Brigade, which is near the area of Lysychansk, get hit today by the Russians. If this was hit, it will be causing a bit of a communication lag or a complete communication loss for a short while that unit tries to set up a new communications headquarters, and this could be hindering the Ukrainians' defenses of this area. You can see the Russians watching as these Ukrainian vehicles, and we can tell they're Ukrainian because there's no Z markings, and they also have that distinctive camo pattern on the vehicles, now backing into these buildings and showing us that it must be the headquarters of some unit of the Ukrainian armed forces. This is, of course, an unfortunate video, as we do know that Ukrainians were most likely wounded and killed, but I do believe it's important to telling the story of what's going on here and showing that Ukrainians are having a difficult time. But even through these instances that we're seeing here on this video, the Ukrainians continue to persevere and are able to pretty much hold their own. And be able to still manage the defenses of both Lysychansk and Severodonetsk at the same time. We now see the artillery coming in, and it looks like it is being directed straight onto the buildings we just saw those vehicles enter. Very unfortunate occurrence once again. And just for everyone to know, we did get DDoS attacked. We've popped the VPN back on, and I can't use my hotkeys for OBS, so I'll just have to move from tab to tab. If I have to move from OBS and back and from scene to scene, I'll actually be seeing OBS for a second while I do that. So just letting y'all know in advance, it's not going to be as streamlined tonight as normal, but we are doing that in the advent of trying to keep the streams running and safe, because whenever these people do this stuff, it actually affects our stream pretty heavily, honestly. We lose thousands of viewers each time, and it's incredibly annoying to me because I'm just trying to run the news as I usually do, and there are people out there who are literally making it their life's passion to try and stop this stuff. So with that, we're now going to move on to the next bit of news further down the line at Toshkivka, where we can see Russian attacks on the town, a montage of them over the past couple of days. And so, here's the video. Of course, we'll have to keep it muted. It does have copyrighted music in it. We now see one of the old videos we saw where a Russian tank was firing to the right side of the screen at supposed Ukrainian forces. And this seems to be picking up where we left off a couple of days ago, as this footage is old. Somewhat old. Now, I believe the source is a Russian one, and so they're trying to peddle days-old footage as brand-new footage in the usual Russian fashion of being scummy. So, looks like we have that. I'm going to actually skip through the video a little bit. It's the exact same video. They just replaced some of the beginning footage to make it look brand new, but in the typical Russian scummy fashion. Looks like they've lied once again, and they're showing us old footage. So with that, we're now going to move down towards the area of Zalote, which, of course, has been requested to have been shown here on this channel a decent bit, where we see the Chechens fighting near the city. And so here's the video. Here we can finally see the Chechens shouldering their rifles in first on film. It looks like they're going to war with the trees. I don't know if they're trying to kill the Lorax or what, but I guess they are. I have to say, Chechens are true idiots. You can see the guy over here trying to load the machine gun, and he's such an idiot, although he's supposed to be trained on this gun. He's literally not able to load it properly the first time, so check that out. We can now see them preparing to fire back at the trees again. Now it looks like they're really giving it to the leaves. This reminds me of Tropic Thunder, honestly. Pretty pathetic. We now see the idiot over there trying to figure out how to load the machine gun again. It looks like it's about the second time he's ever done it, and the first time we just saw it a minute ago on film. We now see the guy's given up on shooting the machine gun altogether because he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. And just to answer someone's question, no, that is not the flag of Iran. That's actually the flag of Chechnya, which is a large green field on the top, a white stripe in the middle that's, I believe, actually zigzagged if you get up close and look at it, and then a smaller red stripe on the bottom of the flag, or the field if you'd like to call it that. We now see that the idiot over there has finally reloaded it, and if a village is obviously missing its idiot, this guy actually may be filling in for multiple village idiots at the same time, because we've never seen a machine gun get reloaded that slowly in a war. If you gave that guy a musket, well, if you gave a Ukrainian soldier a musket, he'd be able to get a faster rate of fire with that thing than this goofball would with a machine gun. We see that the Chechens completely forgotten how to shoot the machine gun, and now he's going back to what they know best, coming from well, not all Chechens are bad people. There's a lot of great Chechens fighting for the Ukrainians, but the Kadyrovites in particular, and the people who support Kadyrov, appear to be going back to their natural form that we saw originally in Mariupol, where they're firing the gun by just holding it up into the air and praying that the bullets go somewhere. He's laughing because he knows how much of a joke they look like on film. We now see this guy doing whatever the hell he's doing over there. You know, usually people are asking these days here in the United States, why are the ammo prices so high? When will we be able to expect ammo? With people like this walking around the earth, I don't think we'll ever be getting cheap ammo again, or a lot of it. We could see him do something really daring, which was step up for a split second, fire the grenade launcher, and then hop back down. village idiot over there. He's still not operating a machine gun. We can now see him taking a look at the bolt and receiver and going, "Huh, this is what it uses to shoot." And yes, that's what it uses to shoot. That's the end of the video. Honestly, really pathetic, and it does show you what the Ukrainians are going up against by and large. And while these are the village idiots that the Ukrainians are going up against, it appears that there must be at least a couple of smarter village idiots out there, as the Russians, as far as we know, have pushed the Ukrainians out of Zalote, and although we haven't gotten any video evidence to confirm, it appears that the Ukrainians may have withdrawn from Kherson and Zalote and fallen back to a position more close to Mykolaiivka and also Toshkivka. We're not really sure about that yet, but what we do know for certain is that the T-1302 highway has still been closed to Ukrainian logistics because the Russians have now pretty much pushed onto it. So with that, we are looking at a little bit of a perilous situation here, and it does appear that the Ukrainians are already starting to feel the effects of the lessened amount of supplies that are reaching Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, as we have heard today, although we haven't been able to confirm it foolproof yet, that the Ukrainians will most likely be retreating from Severodonetsk and setting up defensive positions within Lysychansk, which is kind of like their version of the Hindenburg line. They don't really have to construct a large amount of defensive networks and structures in Lysychansk. The river and the hill are pretty much a castle and moat that were naturally there from the start, and so hopefully they will be able to hold their defenses fairly well there. And this is all being threatened by the movements down here south of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk, where the Russians appear to be making a little bit of ground and finally doing something. And while this sounds severe, it's really not, because the amount of ground that they're covering here is incredibly small. When you actually zoom out and look at the whole map, you can hardly even see it. So while, of course, it is jeopardizing this entire area, if the Ukrainians do lose it, it's not a massive area to lose. It's not like they're losing half the country or anything. Because when you zoom out and look at all of Ukraine, the little area here from Severodonetsk to Bakhmut, just to put it into perspective, is around 25 miles in length. Let's just say they lost that entire finger. 25 miles, or 26 miles, back in the day, would have gotten you that close to Kyiv. And the Russians made it all the way down to pretty much Vyshgorod and the very outskirts of the city. And so that kind of puts it into perspective how little of a gain that would be if they were even able to capture the entirety of that finger. So just putting that out there, while it does look like the Russians may be achieving some successes, and it does look a little questionable right now, if they do manage to win, it's not a massive loss for Ukraine. The Ukraine is losing 2 cities that have largely been evacuated at this point, and only have standing populations of around 10,000 people still living there. With that, we're now going to move behind the lines to a video that's been heavily requested today, and we got a new perspective on the failure that happened with the MLRS yesterday, where the missile fired, spun around, and then blew up the Russian vehicle that fired it. It's good to see that the village idiots apparently expand beyond the machine guns, and now they're also manning the anti-air defense systems, as this missile decided that it was going to do a no-you move. And so let's check this out. We can see it there taking the loop, and then slamming right into the launcher that fired it. Good stuff. A second perspective, and also if you'd like to see that one a little bit better, we did include that, the normal video that most people have been seeing today on our Enforcer short clip. So make sure to go check that out. I did make the thumbnail an actual bit of that video, but it appears that no one was really interested in that thumbnail. But with that, we have now covered all of the northern Donbass news, and we're going to start moving down into the southern Donbass and the southern front. But before we actually get down there and start covering the remainder of the news we have for the night, we're going to take another 3 questions from the chat. And with that, what do we got, Matthew?
Aha, and it is now time for the question segment. And up first, we have a super chat from Steve2848, who puts in a absolutely whopping $400 donation.
Wow.
That might be a record.
I think it might be.
Steve, thank you so much for the support. We know that you support us constantly, and we truly appreciate it a tremendous amount. That is a humongous donation, and it deserves recognition. And Steve says, if they're scared for people to hear what you have to say, you must be doing something right. Stay defiant, and people, re-hit the like button. And that is true. Please re-hit the like button, because we had to restart the stream one time, and we did lose our likes from the last one.
And I got to say, thank you so much once again for the support, Steve. It is going to help our channel to keep running, and we're always greatly appreciative. And that is something I understand, is that the DDoS attacks are being directed at us because we're saying something that someone doesn't like. out there somewhere. I don't know who the group is. It could be the Russians. It could be a guy in his basement. I don't really know. It could be someone. It could be anywhere in between those two extremes. But I do thank you so much for the support and so much for enjoying these streams and helping us to be able to carry them on. It gets very tiresome to me to try and keep on running these streams through these DDoS attacks. And while I have tried to keep my chin up through them, it is getting exhausting. But I do thank you very much for the support. Once again, it is massive and it will help us out a lot. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we're on to the next one. And once again, everyone, give a huge round of applause and thanks to Steve, who is helping nearly single-handedly to keep this stream running. And thank you once again, Steve. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And just a quick note to everybody that has been mentioning it, we actually need to reset our modem at some point because, when you do a VPN, it hides your IP address, but at the same time, if they already have the old one, they can still hack it. So tomorrow, we need to reset our modem to get that new IP address. So hopefully we don't have anything else happen tonight, but tomorrow we should be A-okay. But up next, we have a $40 super chat from Praise Adonai, also known as Bob the Viking, who says, Enforcer Matt, how can Russia ever be held responsible for all the damage and loss of life in Ukraine? They should be banned from the G20, the UN, and the Olympics forever, but how can they be forced to actually pay for their crimes?
There's unfortunately no real logical, reasonable real life way to make them pay for their crimes. Unless if we were to defeat them unconditionally in an open war and somehow not get nuked in the process, that is the only way we could hold the Russians accountable for what they did. Honestly, at this point, I'm kind of driven by anger tonight of being DDoS attacked again for almost the 4th or 5th night in a row. At this point, I honestly wish that we would go over there, curb stomp the Russians, and execute Putin in the middle of the Red Square just to prove a point. But with that, I thank you so much for the support once again, Praise Adonai. It's once again greatly appreciated, and it does help us to keep running these streams. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. It's a very brief answer, but sadly, there's not really much we can do to really hold them accountable unless we were to actually destroy them as a country. But with that, thank you so much once again for the support, and we're going to move on to the last question of this segment, and then we're going to move on to the Southern Front news and the remainder of the news from around the country, or around the world, really.
And the next one is from Mom Cat Max, who puts in a $25 donation and says, Slava Ukraine, Hiram Slava, and stay strong.
And I thank you so much for the support, and also Slava Ukraini. And also, thank you once again for supporting the Enforcer channel. We've been going through a lot lately, and it is getting a little tiresome, but like I said, we're going to keep these streams running until the end of time, and so regardless of what I have to deal with, we're going to keep these things running. And so thank you once again for the support. It does mean a lot, and it does help us keep this thing running. And so with that...
And Enforcer, one more thing. Actually, I forgot to mention that one of the viewers thinks they have figured out the Morse code. C. Fei says, the Morse code says, the soldiers of Ukraine will hold the line until the last bullet is fired.
And that is true. That is exactly what it says. And I think we actually went over that one last night. But of course, once again, you did get it correct. And good job on deciphering the Morse code. We will be trying to come up with a new one within the next day or two, most likely. And maybe add a new song in there somewhere. But of course, I do thank you all so much for getting involved in the Morse code thing. Because I do that so that way some of those people who have that experience can stretch their legs, so to speak. And also... for new viewers to maybe try and get into the Morse code thing. I don't really know a lot about it, but I do think it is something neat for people to do, and hopefully a lot of y'all agree with that as well. And so with that, we have now reached the end of this question segment, and we're now going to move on to the Southern Front, the remainder of the news down there, our little bit of international news, and then we're going to circle back to Kyiv to cover our our speech from President Zelensky tonight. And so with that, we're now going to pass over the Donetsk region, as there has been no reports of activity today of any kind on video, and so sadly, the situation appears to be remaining unchanged there as of the moment, and it doesn't appear that the Ukrainians have made any more advances into Donetsk, but it doesn't look like the Russians have made any pushes out of Donetsk. With that, we're now going to be moving further down the front line to the area of Polohi, which is near the Ukrainian front line, where we can see a Russian armored car. Now, this is interesting to me because the area that they say they're getting ambushed by Ukrainians is on a steep hillside. Stop! And we see them firing at the hill here. Don't really know how Ukrainians on the hill, considering it's like a 70-degree angle. What an idiot. Well, we actually hear a bullet bounce somewhere near the vehicle and fly by, so I guess it's an ambush, but wherever that guy's firing is definitely not where it's at. He's literally firing in a slag heap that was built up like a house. And so unless the Ukrainians have turned into Spider-Man and are able to hang on to a flat wall, I don't know what he's shooting at.
Блядь, походу зацепили, пидорасы!
Oh, wait a minute. I think he may have been hit. I don't know if he was.
Блядь, походу зацепили, пидорасы!
I think he may have been. Hopefully he was. I couldn't really tell in the video, but if he was hit, hopefully that will be the only video he puts out. With that, we're now going to move on to the next bit of news from the Southern Front, where we've seen the 43rd Artillery Brigade laying waste to the Russians. As per usual, the 45th and the 43rd have been doing a decent amount of work, and this video is incredibly cool. And so, here it is.
Бучу, за Ирпень, за Островы! Слава Украине!
So, pretty cool video. I had to get rid of a bot right there. Kind of lame, honestly. And also, if you see bots, feel free to bully them. But anyways, really cool video how they put it in the slow motion right when this artillery piece fired. It looks like it's most likely a peon. But that is a really cool one right there. But with that, as the end of that video, hopefully that peon right there obliterates some Russians. Because that would make my day right now. With that, we're now going to move further down the line. We have, of course, we haven't gotten any news from the banks of the Dnipro River, really. It doesn't seem like much has happened there. Of course, it is a river reservoir that's miles wide, so there's not really a chance for a firefight or a skirmish there. But moving on down into the Kherson area, we have seen a couple of pieces of activity today. Starting off, we've seen a BTR-82 get destroyed by the 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade, which is in the area of Kherson. Kind of the Kherson finger, really. But here's the BTR on the move. Honestly, that may be more of a BRDM. I can't really tell. But now we can see the thing burning. And not a moment too soon. So with that, we're now going to move on to the next bit of video. Of course, great to see, and I hope we see more of that here in the future. And moving on to the area of Kherson, we can see the Russians bombard the Ukrainians with artillery. Of course, this happens every once in a while, but Russian artillery, much like their bot attacks, are kind of a little weak, and really just nothing more than an aggravant every once in a while. So we can see the artillery coming down the field, but we don't see a damn thing in terms of Ukrainian soldiers in this area, and so I think they're shelling nothing. Actually, we see a vehicle there, but it looks like the shell hit a little bit to the side and didn't really take it out, because we don't see any brewing up or any smoke billowing from the vehicle, and that's the end of the video. Right now, we do know that the Ukrainians are still engaged in a counterattack in this area, but beyond that, we don't really have a lot of news of advances or any kind of progress. Hopefully that will change soon, and the Ukrainians will be able to break through the Russian lines and reach a little bit closer to Kherson. And with that, we're now going to move to the area of Mykolaiv, where we saw a footage from a gas station today that got a close call by a missile. Luckily, the people in the film appear to have not been injured heavily or killed, and so here's the video. It's a very close call for these people.
Yes.
The guy in the gas station took cover, but we don't know what happened to the guy outside. I'm hoping that he's all right. So with that, we're now going to move out of the southern Ukraine area. There's not really much more to report from there. And it sounds like the guy was screaming outside, kind of in an okay sound. It didn't sound like he was too wounded. So hopefully he's all right and everyone was okay. There was more footage from that gas station, but I didn't want to include redundant footage. With that, we're now going to be moving out to the area of the Czech Republic, where I've seen something that I'm pretty happy to report on, and I hope y'all are happy to hear it too. Russians have been revoked, as well as Belarusians, from getting visas within the Czech Republic, and so that means that Russians will pretty much not be allowed within their country. I believe that's a step in the right direction, and hopefully a lot more countries step up and do something similar to that, because Russians in general, coming from Russia. We don't know if they are pro-Russian or not. It seems like the large majority of them are, but of course there's that small little group out there that is still resisting against the Russian government and pretty much the Russian society in general, and are making pretty good progress, as we did see them knock out a power plant today, as well as destroy a recruitment office. So with that, that is the end of our international news. Not really much to it. And so with that, we've reached the end of tonight's stream. We haven't come under a DDoS attack again. We do have a VPN up. That may be the reason why, but I don't want to talk too soon because one might happen here any minute. And if it does, y'all know what to do. Y'all know to hop on to the next one that we'll have up within a few minutes. And so if the stream does go down, just please wait patiently, just about a few minutes. There will be a new stream probably up there soon. With that, here's a speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Вечір, великий народи нашої держави. Сьогоднішній день захопило обговорення історичного рішення саміту ЄС надання Україні статусу кандидата. Зранку до цієї миті на телебаченні, радіо, інтернеті йде діалог про те, що це означає, які умови Україні належить виконати, як важко це буде зробити і скільки років це займе. І ви знаєте, я за підсумками цього дня хочу сказати наступне. А давайте хоча б трішки порадіємо. Тихо, скромно, в душі. Але порадіємо за себе, свою державу, любу державу. Давайте відчуємо момент і смак цієї миті. Уявіть, що ми підкорюємо Еверест. Досягли передостанньої точки, не озирнулись навкруги, навіть не перевели подих і говоримо про подальший шлях до вершини. Як важко буде подолати останні 1848 метрів. Вмить ми забули і знецінили власний успіх. А може спершу згадаємо, що ми подолали 7000 метрів. Не будемо соромитись, говорити про свої досягнення. Не будемо народом з короткою пам'яттю і меншою вартістю. Ми кажемо, Україні надали статус кандидата у ЄС. Давайте говорити, Україна здобула статус кандидата у ЄС. Хіба він впав нам з неба? Хіба ми мало пройшли і зробили? Сьогодні ми акцентуємо увагу на 7 вимогах ЄС. Так, це правда. Але хіба це лякає нас? Ні. Бо перед цим ми успішно виконали сотні. Давайте не забудемо про це. Не для хвальби, а для віри в те, що ми точно подолаємо цей шлях. Ми здолали 7000 метрів, тож не зупиняємось, візьмемо свій Еверест. Давайте хоча б на хвилину не про те, що нас очікує, а про те, що ми змогли. Бо забуваючи про це, ми применшуємо значення цього кроку. Були часи, коли ми не могли ввечері взяти квитки і на ранок полетіти в Європу. Ми стояли в чергах, документи, віза тощо. Пам'ятаєте, купа папірців, які ми носили у файлику, які вимагали від нас всі державні установи, в них чиновники, які ніяк не звітували перед нами і не подавали електронні декларації, високопосадовці, для контролю яких не існувало ні спеціального органу, ні спеціального суду, депутати, які були недоторканними, президент, якого неможливо було відправити у імпічмент, земля, яку не можна було просто купити. Звучить дико, здається, це було не з нами, було і не так давно. Але ми все змінили, змінювали. Приватизація, земельна реформа, відкриті виборчі списки, децентралізація НАЗК, антикорупційний суд, ЦНАПи, державні послуги в інтернеті, Дія, Спліт, анбанди, концесія, спільний авіаційний простір, промисловий безвіз, деолігархізація. Багато чого було зроблено, саме зроблено. Давайте не забувати це. Давайте пишатись собою, поважати себе. І росіян відкинули. І переможемо. Бо саме тоді нас будуть поважати, коли ми поважаємо себе. Не тіштесь, що це ляпас Москві, а пишайтесь, що це аплодисменти Україні. І саме тому я хочу бачити нас у єдиній родині. Нехай це надихає вас. Ми заслужили це, усвідомили це. Усміхніться, будь ласка, і дай нам всім, Боже, спокійної ночі. Ну а завтра знову в бій. з новими силами, з новими крилами. Слава Україні!
Slava Ukraini. And with that, that was a speech from President Zelensky for day 121, and we have reached the end of the day 121 news. Once again, if you are new to this stream, which I'm assuming most of y'all are from the last one, and there's not a lot of new viewers on here right now, but if you are new, please make sure to subscribe. We do run these streams every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time from Tuesday to Sunday. We also run Sunday night fundraisers where we try and help out Ukraine as much as we can, and we upload daily summaries showing some of the highlight clips of the war in Ukraine, and we try and make those videos around 2 to 3 minutes long, so it's really palatable and just show some of the events that occurred on the front lines today. And so with that, I thank you all once again for watching, and we're now going to move into the question segments where we're going to answer the super chats from the last stream, we're going to answer the super chats from last night's stream, and then we're going to answer the super chats from this stream. Pretty big amount of super chats from streams that have been DDoSed and gone down and all that stuff. Hopefully we can fix that sometime around, and if we don't, I don't know what we're going to do. But with that, we're on to the questions. So what do we have, Matthew?
All right, so first up, we have a $30 super chat from Brexit, who says, if their end goal is to link up through Odessa to the east of Moldova, should Ukraine work with Moldova to eliminate the 2,000 Russian soldiers that are stationed there?
That's a pretty good point. I think that would be something that the Ukrainians should do if they have reserves, and as far as we can tell, they do. And I think that the chance should be taken to try and wipe out the Russians wherever possible. And so in that perspective, yeah, I could agree. I think that that would be a pretty nice thing to do amongst the Moldovans and the Ukrainians to try and take care of the Transnistrians. But at the same time, Transnistria exists because the people there actually rose up against the Moldovans, and after they did that, they then got support from the Russians. That wasn't actually something, as far as we know, that was Russian propagated. That was actually something that occurred within Moldova, because the people there, unlike most of the Eastern European nations that got freed from the Soviet ilk, Moldova's quality of life actually went from, well, you know, all of them went from bad to worse once they got out of the Soviet Union for a very short while, but in Moldova, that situation was really bad. It went from bad to worse, and then even worser. And so some of the people there within that area called Transnistria actually rose up against the Moldovans, hoping that if they were to try and return to something that resembled communism or the former Soviet Union, they would have a good time. So I hope that does kind of answer the question in a way about the social dynamics that are involved there, because that's not really a Russian puppet. That's kind of the people there were pretty happy with trying to go back to communism, but I don't really think it's done them all too much or all too well, really. But with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I think that the Ukrainians and the Moldovans could work together and try and do that. And so thank you once again. I hope that does answer it, and with that, we are on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from RZBK08, who says, I hope the Ukrainian army can keep the M142s protected. I would like to see the Patriot missile system along with them.
I would agree. I would love to see that the M142s will be heavily protected and not fall into Russian hands. I think it's going to be pretty hard for them to do because the M142s do have a range of 50 miles, and I feel like the Ukrainians will most likely be using them in counter battery operations instead of trying to attack the Russians directly. The Russian infantry directly. One does have to remember that at this point in the war, artillery is the key winning factor, and so destroying Russian artillery is going to help out the Ukrainians a massive load and take a lot of stress off of their frontline units, and then their normal artillery, like the M777s, the Mr.Bs, the D-20s, and so on, can focus on firing at the Russian infantry. And so with that, I hope that answers the question, and I thank you very much once again for the support, and hopefully we will see the Patriots over there very soon, although I don't really hear much about them, and it seems like those have largely fallen to the wayside, but hopefully they're rekindled again and do make their way over there. And so with that, we're on to the next question, and thank you once again for the support.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from David Bacco, who says, love what you guys do, Enforcer and Enforcer Matt. You guys are awesome. And Slava Ukraine, give yourself a break. Love you guys.
Well, thank you very much for the support. But just due to how I am, there really is not a huge opportunity for me to have a break. Now, something I never believed is the saying that the most difficult boss you'll work for is yourself, until I started doing this. I always thought, I'll make sure to pace myself and give myself breaks. But honestly, once I started doing this, it was pedal to the metal and just trying to work as much as possible to keep this thing going and make sure it's going well and reporting the news as best it can. So I do thank you very much for the support, but I hope you understand that that's just kind of my personality and who I am. And so while I would like to take an additional day's break sometime in the future, I'm not sure if that would be coming around anytime soon. So with that, thank you once again. It does help out our channel a great deal, and it helps us to keep on running. And so with that, we're on to the next question, and thank you so much for the support.
And next up, we have a super chat from Suzanne B, who says, I believe in you too, and I will stick it out with y'all as long as I can. Thank you, and you are greatly appreciated.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and it's always wonderful to hear supportive words from our fans, our stream, our live chat, whatever you would like to call them. It's always wonderful to hear that people do enjoy what we do and also who we are. I try my best to make sure that the news is, of course, as best as possible, and it is really interesting to hear that people do like just how I talk and stuff, because honestly, I kind of bore people to tears where I'm at whenever I talk about anything. But I do thank you very much for the support. I hope that does address the comment. And with that, we're moving on to the next question. And thank you once again.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Jose Diaz, who says, Puerto Rico loves Ukraine, and Puerto Rico loves the enforcer. Yes, Gloria Ukrainia.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and it's always wonderful to hear that a lot of people around the world support Ukraine, including the territory of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is one of the multiple American territories overseas, and that's something that a lot of people I don't think in America know. A lot of Americans don't even know how many states there are. There's 50 of them, but we also have a handful of overseas territories. Some of those are Guam, Puerto Rico, amongst others, but Puerto Rico is actually our largest one yet. We, of course, had some before, just in case if y'all didn't know, historically, at one point, the Philippines in its entirety was an American territory after we defeated the Spanish in the Spanish-American War and then managed to get that in the peace treaty, which was honestly a pretty crazy deal. But then again, if you look at how the Spanish-American War went, it's not really like the Spanish had a choice. But with that, I do thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does address the comment. And also, it's really cool to hear that the Lee Spring Army spans all over the globe, including into Puerto Rico. And with that, thank you so much once again for the support, and we're going to move on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $40 donation from Rick George, who says, Mr. Enforcer, being in Australia, is there a way to donate to the Sunday stream, Monday my time, so I'm at work, after the stream?
Unfortunately, as far as we know, and I hate to say this to my Australian and New Zealander viewers, but I don't know of any way for y'all to donate to the Sunday night fundraisers. Unfortunately, due to some kind of a rule on YouTube, it appears that they don't allow people from Australia to donate to fundraisers. I think that may actually be a national law in Australia that's not allowing YouTube to take donations from there. But y'all are able to give super chats, which is the weird thing, and that's why I'm assuming it may be some kind of an Australian law, because I don't know why YouTube would not allow Australian viewers to be able to support fundraisers for no other reason than to just say, like screw 'em or something. So unfortunately, I don't know of a way. But of course, if you would like to support a fundraiser out there, there are loads of fundraisers that this channel does not run, but other people are running. There was a fundraiser recently to try and buy more Bayraktars for Ukraine. There's also a link in our description here on the stream where you can go click on it and support a whole bunch of nonprofits that are currently operating in Ukraine. And so while it's not necessarily supporting the fundraisers on our streams, it is still getting help to Ukraine, which is one of the major reasons why we run Sunday fundraisers, which is to get help. And so while I hate that it wouldn't be on our fundraiser and helping us to reach our goals as the Lee Spring Army, I still think that support is crucially important, and regardless of how it gets there, I think that would be the best way possible for my Australian viewers. And I hate to say that because I know there's a lot of y'all, and loads of y'all are always eager to support the fundraisers, but sadly, it looks like due to something on YouTube's end, it's just not possible. But I do thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And of course, all of y'all's support helps us to continue to run this channel and try and persevere over the bot attacks. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question, and thank you once again.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Koala Resistance, who says, on 6/17/22, the U.S. Air Force Veterans Congressman Adam Kinzinger and Congresswoman Chrissy something introduced legislation to train Ukrainian fighter pilots and crews on F-15s and F-16s. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's a very interesting thing, but there's always loads of legislation that is brought forward here in Congress that never really makes it anywhere. Now, not to weigh in on politics, I'm not going to weigh in on opinions or anything, but we're going to touch on it. And if we see any politics down there in the live chat, like people trying to air opinions or create like slash attacks against the other group, regardless of which group that is, we are going to silence that stuff because this isn't really about American politics. But to discuss how American politics works, there are a lot of crazy bills that go through Congress, and this one isn't crazy. I think it's a great idea, but we always see stuff like this that never really gets far. There was a bill proposed by a group of congressmen and women that stated that they were going to ban all kinds of firearms from the 50 caliber M82 all the way down to anything. Really, the bill said anything larger than 50 caliber, regardless of the method of firing, whether it was a flintlock all the way up to a modern, I guess you could say, cartridge rifle. It was going to be banned, and that legislation didn't make it anywhere. It was smacked down before it even breathed. But stuff like that goes through Congress a lot. There are loads of bills out there that get proposed and shot down immediately, and that may be one of the ones that's shot down immediately just due to the current political situation. And here's why. The United States has been scared, specifically the standing government, has been very scared about sending aircraft over to Ukraine because that is the line that has been drawn in the sand, and it appears that, as far as the government's concerned, the Russians are deadly serious about this statement. If we send over aircraft to Ukraine, we may be going into war. And so, for that reason, we at least know that the standing government from the top, and this is talking about it all in an unbiased perspective, don't take this as a slashing attack or anything, but the president, which is of course associated with a current political party, has pretty much made it clear that they're not going to send aircraft over. And so the rest of his party in Congress is most likely going to follow his lead and make sure that that does not happen. And so for that reason, along with some other members of the other party, maybe agreeing with the other party and seeing the scope of what may happen if they were to do something like that, may also shoot down the bill. And so that's most likely the direction that's going to be going in. I think it's a great bill. I wish we could do something like that and find some loophole to get, at least diplomatically around the Russians' line in the sand and send aircraft in anyways. But at the moment, it appears that that's not feasible for the United States, and the current government is not going to allow something like that. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. And I thank you so much for the support. And once again, I could be wrong. That bill may actually make it incredibly far. It may actually be voted on by both the House and the Senate, but I'm not entirely sure. And I hope that does answer the question, at least in my opinion, the best it can. And so with that, we're on to the next question. And thank you once again for the support.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat, from Zyper Sniper 1, who we haven't seen in quite some time. And I think this is one from yesterday. So, Zyper Sniper, if you're here tonight, thank you very much for your support. And Zyper says, when the Russian Chechens shoot their weapons, it's like watching a bot shoot on easy difficulty in war games.
That's very true. Honestly, bots in games don't even shoot like that, even on the easiest difficulty. These guys shoot like a spaz in Tarkov, where you can actually control your gun and how you're aiming it and stuff. And I can't stand watching it, but I have to show it because it's almost a comedy on its own, to just even see them try and do anything. And so I had to show that one because it was hilarious. And on top of that, we saw Russia was missing its Village Idiot of the Year. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. And I thank you once again for the support. And I do have to agree with you. They do look like bots on easy mode. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
And next up, we have a $20 super chat from Old Salty Squid, who says, Happy Friday, guys. I'm sorry you guys are going through burnout. I've been there. Although I will miss you guys, have you considered taking 2 days off in a row? Slava Ukraine and Slava Enforcers.
Well, thank you so much for the support. And to address that question, I'm not really happy with taking 2 days off. I feel like taking 1 day off is already breaking up my stream of continuous news on the war. And I don't honestly like taking Mondays off, but I have to take them off because I get exhausted throughout the entirety of the week working 60 hours a week. And if I added that day onto it, it would be bumped up to 70 hours a week nonstop without a break. So I do have to take that Monday off, but I don't really want to add a second one because if it was 2 days in a row, Monday is always the day I have to take off. And just to explain why that day was chosen, analytically, that was the day that less people got on to watch the news. And so I was thinking, needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, so I was thinking I want to make sure that I'm causing as little turbulence as possible to the majority of the audience, and since most people don't watch on Monday nights, we'll take that night off. So if I had to connect another day to that, it would be Tuesday, which statistically is one of our highest view nights in terms of audience of people trying to get the news, or it would have to be Sunday, which would cut out our Sunday fundraiser and push it back to Saturday. And so I don't really want to do that either, because then people are going to be caught off guard because everyone's always already gotten ready for that Sunday fundraiser schedule. And so because some people, they only hop on for the Sunday fundraisers. So if I was to push that back to Tuesday and take Sunday off, they would be waiting around on Sunday night for a fundraiser that would never pop up. And so that's kind of why I'm not really a big fan of taking a second day off, although I would really appreciate it at this point. And I thank you all so much for the support and recommending it. But of course, I'm trying to make sure that it causes little turbulence and friction for the audience as possible, although the DDoS attacks happen pretty normally. And of course that causes a lot of disturbance to the audience anyways. But I do thank you so much for the support, Salty Squid, and I hope that does answer the question the best I can. And of course, I thank you for being a longtime viewer and of course enjoying this channel through and through, even when we're going through the massive issues we're having right now. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question, and thank you once again for the support.
And next up, we have a $20 super chat from Dwan Champ 1988, who says, DARPA dogs in future tech. Do Russians have an equivalent? I doubt it. Send in the tech. Lols.
Well, thank you very much for the support, Dewan Champ. I don't think have we had him in here before, Matthew?
I think that might be the first time he's donated.
If that is the first time, welcome, and I thank you so much for the support. And to answer that, to address the comment, I think we should send in as much tech as possible. Honestly, I'm just a big fan at this point of anything that obliterates the Russians. This is now the 5th month of the war, starting today. And I feel at this point we should just send as much support as possible to get this thing done with. The Russians are pushovers, we can see, because the Ukrainians, at least when you put them on the world stage, are a pretty weak country militarily, and the Russians can't even take them on. And so just sending over a portion of our military might through the technology alone would pretty much put the Russians on the back foot to the point nothing would be attainable for them, and they would just be on the defensive until they got pushed out of the country. So I do entirely agree that whatever we do, we should be trying to send over as much support as possible, so that way we can watch some Russians fry. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And I saw that Dewan Champ 1988 said, this is actually my second time. It was a long time ago. So yes, that's actually his second time donating. I want to make sure I get that right, give him his due recognition. So thank you very much for your continued support, with that being said. And we are moving on to the next one. The next one is from Ted Ajuns, who puts in a $20 donation and says, maybe you have already had him as a guest, but have you ever considered having Vladimir Zolkin on? He is the Ukraine journalist who has been interviewing all the Russian POWs on YouTube. He has interesting perspective on things, and he speaks English on top of that.
Vladimir Zolkin. Let's check out Vladimir Zolkin. Volodymyr Zolkin. But let's see here. He is getting a lot more views than me, that's for certain. But yes, it does look like he's doing a decent amount of videos, but they're all in Ukrainian. It appears here, at least. Looks like that one has some English in it. I don't know, we might try and bring him on. It does look like he's doing a lot of interviews with prisoners. And so maybe we could have him on. There's a lot of requests right now to have Denis Davidov on, though, first. And so we'll probably reach out to Denis Davidov first, and then reach out to Volodymyr Zolkin second. But I do want to make sure to look over all of our guests fairly well, because I always want to make sure that they will be producing something interesting to the discussion. So with that, I thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the question. We will look into it. I don't really know much about his channel. Of course, I don't have a lot of time to watch other ones, but I will make sure to take a good look at that and see if we can have him on. And so with that, I thank you once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And up next, let me say thank you to Sharon Tukalski for putting in a $10 super chat. Sharon does not leave a comment, but thank you very much, Sharon, for the support to the channel. And up next, we have a $17 donation from Nerber777, who says, F you bots.
Well, thank you so much for the support, and also thank you for telling the bots to go F themselves, because at this point, I'm sick of them. I wish... I don't mean to sound unreasonable or anything, but I've been attacked by bots ever since the start of the stream 4 months ago, and honestly, I wish the worst thing on bots at this point, because it's just gotten tiresome. It's gotten really annoying to me, and while I try and act like it's not too bothersome, it annoys the hell out of me that we get DDoS attacked regularly now, and streams can't run normally without someone out there trying to do something. And it seemed that ever since the start of this thing, people have been trying to tear it down one way or another. The Great Schism was a great example of when the Discord server went down entirely, and it was just because people wanted to act like I'm a demon. I don't know how the hell I'm a demon when I've raised $250,000 in support for Ukraine through nonprofits. But idiots out there always come up with a reason as to why they're right and I'm wrong. And so, I thank you very much for the support, and it's just gotten annoying to me about the bots. And so thank you very much for saying F the bots, because I agree with you as well. And so with that, we're on to the next question.
And next up, we have a $15 donation from Zyper Sniper 1 once again, who says coffee fund for the enforcer and Matt and Slava Ukraine. And Zyper, I already told you in the live chat, but I'll say it once more. Thank you very much for being here for such a long time. We know you've been here since almost the beginning, I think. So thank you so much for the support to the channel and always being here.
And I gotta thank you as well, Zyper. You've been around for an incredibly long while, and we of course thank you so much for the coffee fund and saying Slava, coffee fund for Enforcer Matt and Slava Ukraine. I read that Slava Enforcer, but I thank you so much once again, and Slava Ukraini. And with that, we are on to the next question, and I thank you so much for the support.
And up next, we have a $10 donation from Mark Sova, who says, do you think the EU should capitulate to the Russians' request for unfettered access to Kaliningrad?
Read that one again.
Mark says, do you think the EU should capitulate to the Russians' request for unfettered access to Kaliningrad?
No, I think we should starve Kaliningrad out, honestly. It's pretty much just payback for what the Russians have been doing so far. And while that sounds a little bit detached at this point, I think that we should just pull out all the stops and try and end the war as fast as possible. And if that means blockading Kaliningrad until they're on their knees, then I think that that's what we should do at this point. And so I thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 donation from Mike D, who says, have you seen the video of the Russian MLRS that fires a missile that then loses control and destroys the MLRS and hopefully its crew? Search YouTube, Russian missile fails and boomerangs.
We did see that. That's been included on our Enforcer short clips and also included here in tonight's news. And so I hope you did enjoy watching it. That was the second perspective, and we put the first perspective of it on our YouTube short. And so with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. It's a very brief one, but we did cover it. And so with that, we're on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Devin Betterton, who says, I'm donating out of spite of the hackers. You don't need to read this, but guess what, Devin? I read it anyway because I didn't see that at the end. But thank you very much for your support to the channel.
And I thank you once again for the support, and also thank you for backing us up and, of course, helping out our channel. It does mean a lot to us. And, of course, I thank you just once again for the support. It's wonderful to know that a lot of people do enjoy the channel and want us to keep on going and are helping us to keep going. And, of course, it always is deeply felt by Matthew and me, because this is the only way we can keep the things running. And so thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does address the comment. Even though you didn't want it answered, we answered it anyways, because we always want to recognize everyone who helps us out. And with that, we're on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Charles Watson, who says, I know orcs say Z is for Zed, but do think it's possible they stole the idea from the Japanese, who beat the Russians in 1905 under the Z flag and used it when attacking Pearl Harbor. The Enforcers rock.
Well, I thank you so much for the support. And to answer the question, the Germans also used the Z in World War II as well, just a little bit. And so That's kind of a weird one as well, because there's actual pictures of that. We can actually pull it up. World War II, German Z. Z symbol. I did see a picture of this a little while ago. Hopefully I don't get demonetized for showing this or anything, but, oh boy, where is it? You see a patch right there, from Germany that has a Z on it. But I'm trying to find the World War II. Oh yeah, I'm probably going to get demonetized for that, jeez. But there is a World War II little symbol. And also there's the Wolfsangel, which is a German Nazi symbol that has a Z on it with also a little cross through it. But I hope that does kind of answer the question a little bit. And to address the part about the Japanese war, that may also be the case as well. But at the same time, the Russians may have started using it because it was one of their unit identifiers, of course, when they entered the war. And so then they just picked that up and ran with it, because that's something that all the Russians would see, is that Z on the side of Russian tanks, kind of like how everyone saw the White Star on the side of American tanks during World War II, and that became the symbol of the Allied forces. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you very much for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a super chat from Joe, who puts in a $30 donation and does not leave a comment. So, thank you very much, Joe, for your support to the channel, and thank you for watching the streams and being here through some of these tumultuous times that we're going through with hackers, technical glitches, etc. And thank you all for being here as well and sticking with us through it all. So, with that being said, as the saying always goes, we are on to the next super chat. And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Jungle Gem AB9AB, who says, "Remain strong in the darkest hour. Continue your journey. It doesn't end here. And victory for Ukraine."
Well, thank you very much for the support, and I don't want to end here, and most likely will not end here. It's just that over the past few days, everything has gotten really exhausting for me, and while it was funny at the start, it has eventually wore me down until the point where I'm just done with it tonight, especially the hacking and the DDoSing and all that stuff that's been going on. But I do thank you so much for the support and encouraging us to keep on going. Of course, I did make a commitment that these streams will run until the end of the war, and regardless of what we have to do, we are going to try and keep them running until the very last day of this war. And so with that, I thank you once again for the support. I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $17 donation from Killer 3000 AD. I almost butchered that. Who says, "Russian trolls should know that the more they disrupt Enforcer, the more I super chat. And Slava Ukraine."
And I thank you very much for the support. And of course, it's greatly appreciated. Anything that y'all want to do despite the bots, whether it's a super chat or hitting the like button, I'm sure that a lot of bots are most likely hitting the dislike button, really. And let me go check on that. I'll tell y'all if that is the case. Wait a minute, hang on. Looks like we had a stream running there in the background. Let me go through here and take a look at something. Give me just a second. I know y'all can't see this, but I can see it. And I'll tell you what our like ratio is right now. So right now, we've gotten 1,635 likes on the stream, and we've gotten 12 dislikes so far, giving us a like rate of 99.3%. But just remember that the more y'all slam down likes on these streams, the better off we are. And if you go through and do that for all of our videos, this gets pushed out to more people join the Lee Spring Army, and the cycle just continues to grow and grow. And so the more people hit the like button, the more our channel's helped out, and the more we're able to grow and hopefully quash these bots like the roaches they are. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does address the comment. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And next up, we have a $10 super chat from Junebug with the 72 on the end, who does not leave a comment. And I'm not sure if that one's from tonight or yesterday night, but Junebug72, if you're still here, thank you very much for your support to the channel. And up next, we have an $8 donation from Alexandre Durand, who says, "I just want to support Ukraine and say Bon Saint Jean Baptiste to all my Quebecers out there."
Well, I thank you so much for the support. Unfortunately, I don't know about that particular historical figure. It appears to be a Quebecan thing, which is, of course, this area here of Canada, mostly French. But then the British took it, and then they've been pretty angry about that ever since. But who's going to do something about that? What are you going to do about it? Anyways, I do know what you're talking about a little bit, specifically about Quebec. But I do thank you so much for the support. And I thank you for helping out this channel a pretty good bit and also wanting to help out Ukraine. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question. And I thank you so much once again for the support.
And next up, we have a $15 super chat from Zyper Sniper 1 again, who says, if Russia is fighting so-called neo-Nazis, then why don't they just turn around and fight themselves in Russia?
That's a very good question, and the reason why is because these people are misguided beyond belief. The Russians, much like they did during Soviet times, pretty much have controlled the access of information they're getting, and it's all government approved, and so a lot of people are just hearing what the government wants them to hear. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. I know that was a pretty good one, honestly, very smart one for sure, and I liked it pretty well. And so thank you so much once again, Zyper Sniper, for the good question there. And I think that that's something that they should be doing here soon. Anyways, I'll just leave it at that. I thank you so much for the support, and with that, we are on to the next question.
And I see many of you saying that it's not Quebec, it's Quebec. If anybody in the live chat can also confirm that for me so I can pronounce it correctly from now on, I would hate to mispronounce the name. So, with that being said, moving on to the next one, we have an $8 super chat from Mark, who says, Z, Zulu, and Zulu flag when used alone equals I require, I'm not sure what he meant by that, but let's see here. Ruski's foreshadowing every vehicle's demise, question mark.
That is true, and I did see your super chat, and I know what you're talking about. In naval terms, the Zulu flag is meant that your one is requiring a tug, which means that they're needed to be hooked up to another boat or, well, yeah, another ship, and then towed back to port. So I do know what you're talking about. Matthew thought it was something else, but I do know what you're saying. And yes, I do think that they are foreshadowing what every single Russian vehicle has ended up doing, which is getting towed out of the battlefield just to keep away from that other word, just in case it's taken another way. But I do thank you so much for the support, Mark. And also, the pretty good joke right there. That's actually a pretty clever thing to think about and connecting the dots there for sure. And so thank you once again. And with that, we are on to the next question. And thank you for the support.
And yes, thank you, Mark. And I'm glad it wasn't the other thing that I was thinking about. Thank goodness. So up next, we have an $8 super chat from Jaquez Godbout, who says, good job, Enforcer. Quebec birthday today. Quebec Love is the best song ever.
Thank you so much for the support, and it does seem that Quebec's birthday is today. Now, I know that it's Quebec. I know that's most likely what everyone's wanting us to say, but now y'all have opened up Pandora's box. Whoever said that, I don't know who it was. We're going to be calling it Quebec for the rest of the night. Probably for the rest of all time, actually. But anyways, Quebec was once colonized by the French. After a while, the British decided that they had a little bit of a problem with that. And in the course of the 7 Years' War, also known as the French and Indian War, we took this and said dibs, and we just grabbed it from them, and it became part of Britain. British North America, really. And then over the course of the Revolutionary War, the British kind of used Montreal and Quebec, Quebec City, as a basing point to then push down into the colonies, specifically from the New England area. Y'all may remember the famous march of the British Army from New York up the... Oh man, what's the name of this river? The Hudson River, and also the march of the Montreal Army down the Hudson River as well to Ticonderoga. But the army in New York never actually met up with the one from Montreal, and so it was an absolute failure. The Russians, well, not the Russians, the British during that war didn't really have a stroke of good fortune with the commanders that were in charge. Their planning and also their coordination was about as incompetent as we see the Russians' coordinations right now. And I have a high amount of respect for the British. I know there's about to be someone in the comments who says, oh, the Enforcer hates the British. And I don't. I'm like 90% British. I'm from there, and I've been there, and I love the place. It's a beautiful country, and also incredible people. But at the same time, I don't ever look at things through rose-tinted glasses. In that one instance, they didn't do well. But in the War of 1812, I will give them credit. They rebounded, and then they came down to the Washington, D.C. area and burned the Capitol and the White House. So I guess it was kind of even in the end. And then on top of that, the rest of the wars that they went through were fairly good, and they generally wiped the floor in them. So with that, hope that does address the comment about Quebec. And with that, we're going to move on to the next one. And thank you so much for the support.
And next up, we have a $10 super chat from Dwan Champ 1988 again, who says, in all caps, they hate us cause they ain't us, LOL. Z may mean Zapad drill, war with West, or NATO. Could you look at real quick for everyone to see?
Could you reread that one again? I think it kind of came through a little broken for me.
He said, They hate us 'cause they ain't us. LOL. Z may mean Zapad drill. War with West / NATO. Could you look it real quick for everyone to see?
What does that mean? I don't mean to ask that outright, but
Let's
what
see.
does it all mean?
Z maybe. He thinks the Z symbol means something other than what we think it means, and that it could mean a war with the West. And he wants NATO to take a look at it.
Ah, I see. Well, I do agree with that entirely. I don't, well, not the Z meaning war with the West. If that means war with the West, that's going to be the, well, that's actually a really good one. If it means war with the West, Z is the final letter in the alphabet, and this will be the final page in Russian history, because we'll make what we did to Germany look like nothing. So with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does address the comment. And with that, we're moving on to the next one, but thank you once again for the support.
And up next, we have an $8 donation from Rick George. Thank you very much, Rick, for your support of the channel. Rick does not leave a comment, but thank you very much for that support. And up next, we have an $8 donation from Alexandre Durand again, who says, yes, we have a pretty messed up story in terms of British and French war, but we are so proud of ourselves and we feel like our own nation, now one love enforcers.
Well, I thank you so much for the support. You're certainly from Quebec. And just to explain again, we're going to be calling it Quebec tonight because here's why. Grammar Nazis are annoying. And I know that some people are good intentioned when they do that, but sometimes they come off as snobs. And so we saw someone, Matthew apparently did, who said it's pronounced Quebec. And I know that he was probably trying to say Quebec, but Matthew said Quebec. And this is what happens when you open Pandora's box, is that when someone says Quebec, and it sounds and looks like Quebec, we will call it Quebec. And so I know it's Quebec, but we're going to call it Quebec for the rest of the night. Probably for the rest of all time, like I said before. Anyways, Quebec is an interesting place. And I think that I would like to go up there someday and see Montreal and Quebec. But sadly, I just... it's a tough one, you see, because I don't know if I would be able to go up there. Because, first off, I don't know about the requirements to cross the border. Or anything like that, for that matter. And also, we never really travel much out of Alabama. And also, Quebec is really far away. But it is really cool to hear, and it is neat to know that y'all have that national legacy, and y'all still speak French-Canadian. And that's really cool to me. Now, I will be honest, I actually did meet some Quebecers down here in Alabama. They were apparently on vacation in Montgomery, Alabama, and God bless them. That's not a great place to take a vacation in by any stretch, but apparently they were there, and I was working as a clerk in a store that they came into, and I have to say that they were very rude, really, and they didn't really make a good impression on me, because those were the first Quebecers I met. And usually when I meet people from anywhere around the world, like if they're Chinese or Quebecers, I always try and ask them some questions, you know, like where are they from, and you know, like what about some of the news from your area. And they acted like they were completely offended by me trying to have small talk with them, which I was really taken aback by, because I was just trying to be polite. But I do thank you very much for the support, and I hope that does address the comment. And with that, we're on to the next question. And thank you once again for the support.
And I actually just put up a poll which said, which would you have? And I gave the options of McDonald's, Burger King, or Tasties. And Enforcer, Tasties is the name of the new Russian McDonald's, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because I saw somebody say, there ain't no Tasties down under. And many people were like, what's Tasty? I don't know what that is. So that is actually the rebranded McDonald's in Russia. So basically, it's McDonald's, but it's Putin's now, but they call it Tasties.
That's true.
That mean,
and before we move on, Matthew, I just saw a comment from the live chat that was very true. So KPX1138 said, easy to get shot in Montgomery, and I agree. I don't know what they were doing in Montgomery of all places, but we used to live there, and Montgomery sadly has been going downhill recently, and crime's been going out of control, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we, you know, moved, is because things were getting very dangerous down there. And when we still travel down there, it's gotten even worse. Murders are pretty common down there. I would say it's almost like the Chicago of the South in terms of its crime rate, or even Detroit, because it's looking about as run down as Detroit these days too. So I hope that kind of addresses that comment, because that's just, of course, what I lived in for ever since I was born. I was actually born in Montgomery and lived there until I was about 19. And so I've lived there most of my life and pretty much watched it get worse and worse over time due to kind of like the situations going on down there. But I do thank you so much for stating that. And as far as I can confirm, that's pretty true from my life experience. And so with that, we're on to the next question.
All right. And up next, we have an $8 donation from Mimi, who says, "Thank you for your work, guys."
And I thank you so much for enjoying the work we go through, and we do try our best to deliver the news as best as possible. So thank you once again for enjoying it, and thank you so much for the support. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Vasily, who says, "Enforcer, I like the video/image evidence rule in reference to the Panzer Hobbyist and everything. I can abide by it." And Vasily, I think that is actually one from last night, so I'm not sure if the Enforcer will remember it or not.
Well, I do thank you for the support, and to address that, I do know what you're talking about, and I do remember what that was said about. I have very stringent protocols for accepting news, and I'm not a tabloid, and so I don't go and just take word of mouth and trust me, bro, as a credible news source. It has to have a video or a picture, or it has to be concerning an actual political event that there is verifiable proof that occurred for me to include it here on this news. If it doesn't meet any of those three criteria, it is not included. And I know that a Ukrainian minister said that they had arrived, and not to discredit what he says or anything, but if they had arrived, why not include a picture of them? That's kind of my thing, just sitting back and being non-biased about it. If they're there, take a picture of them and then upload them. They've never had a problem doing that before, and I think that may just be trying to pressure the Germans into actually sending them, or they may be there and for some reason they didn't take an actual picture of them. But still, I have stringent protocols for accepting the news, and I respect that you do understand why I do not just allow in word of mouth kind of stuff like that. And so with that, thank you so much for the support, and we're going to move on to the next question.
And next up, we have a $5 super chat from Anthony, who says, "A clip posted on Reddit shows a Russian air defense system destroy itself in Alchevsk."
I believe it's pronounced Alchevsk. And yes, we did show that on our short clip and also our stream today, a second perspective of that. And so thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the question. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 donation from Chris Webb, who does not leave a comment, but thank you very much, Chris, for your support to the channel. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from David Lichtenstein, who says, "What do you think about Putin mobilizing millions of civilians, reserves, and use them as kamikaze fighters? Ukraine will be outrageously outnumbered."
I do think that it will be a very concerning thing if he does mobilize those troops. They get trained and then they start throwing a whole bunch of them at the front, poorly equipped, but still a massive number of them. I feel like the numbers alone would start to overrun the Ukrainians, and they would start to fall back just because of that. Whether they can actually do that or not is another question. But if they do have the ability to do that, I'm very concerned for Ukraine, and hopefully the war can be ended before it comes to that. But I thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 donation from Diffuse56, who says, "You know, the DDoS attacks show that you are harassing the enemy effectively enough to get their malicious attention. Keep up the good work, I say."
I thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for saying that, because I do know that we're most likely getting DDoS because we've pissed someone off. But then again, I gotta be I'm gonna be frank here. I've run into a lot of people who wanted to be Discord members and whatnot on this channel, like the first group of moderators I had on Discord, that went from trying to support this channel to they had a small problem, which snowballed in their head into a massive one, and then they literally went out of their way to just try and destroy their channel to get at me for no reason. And and I've known people like that, and so it may be something like that. It may also be the Russian government directly trying to attack us. I'm not really sure, but it's still incredibly annoying to me and tiresome. But I do thank you so much for the support and also those kind, supportive words. And apparently we are doing something right, because people out there are trying to stop us from doing what we're doing. And so thank you so much for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Kith Can, who sounds like something Mike Tyson would say, but that's actually the username. And they put in a $10 donation and say, "Do you think the continued attack on soft targets in Russia could be a path to ending the war? Thanks for your hard work and enthusiasm."
And thank you so much for the support. To answer that question, I believe targeting any kind of infrastructure in Russia will be a step towards ending the war. Attacking oil refineries, along with other targets within Russia, as long as they're not civilian in nature, will be leading to this war ending a little sooner. So hopefully those kinds of attacks will lead to the war ending. And I thank you so much for the support. And I hope that does address the question. I know that one was kind of a little quick one, but attacking any kind of targets help out at all. And so any targets being destroyed is better than nothing. And so I hope that does answer the question. And thank you once again. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Santiago Flores, a $5 super chat from WL, and also one more from William Ballman. So thank you very much to all three of you for your support of the channel. I know all three of you have been around for quite some time, and we appreciate you sticking with us. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Ron Anderson, who says, well, good old Murphy's Law. I understand this feeling of things going wrong, gloom, despair, and agony
Gloom,
on
despair, and agony on me. Whoa. And I understand. And I know what you mean. I know exactly what you're talking about, which was the problems we had at the very beginning of the stream. And apparently our VPN does not allow us to actually use our hotkeys on OBS. And so from now on, just to keep the stream safe and actually keep them running, we might not see any more smooth transitions from intro to song and then to the show. Y'all might actually see OBS get brought back up like that, and then taken back down and switch through the cards and stuff that we have, so that way I can just keep the stream running. But I do thank you so much for the support and also understanding our plight. And with that, we're on to the next question, but thank you once again.
And up next, we have another $5 super chat from Diffuse56, who says, to repeat, F the bots and the electrons they rode in on.
And I thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for backing us up with saying screw the bots. I really wish there was a way we could get back at them, but of course, YouTube doesn't really like that kind of stuff, and I think that would most likely violate the terms of service if we were to try and do what I was thinking about doing. But I do thank you so much once again for the support, and with that, we are on to the next question, and also F the bots. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from IMPYLOU who actually gives me a pronunciation in the super chat itself, who says it's pronounced Impy Luhu. I've been here since day 2. F the bots, and every time bomblet is said, I hear omelet and draw assault omelets while I listen. And that is actually like almost a rap, basically, in that super chat. But thank you very much for your support.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and I also thank you for the rap. It's a pretty funny thing actually, and I pretty well enjoyed that, even though it was read like a normal comment. But thank you once again for the support, and also F the bots. And so with that, thank you once again, and we're gonna move on to the next question.
And up next, I want to recognize a $20 super chat from Satch Lily, who does not leave a comment, and thank you very much for your support as well. We appreciate you very much. And up next, we have a $5 donation from Pala, who says, for the bots.
And I thank you so much for the support. I don't know if you mean for me to give that to the bots. If that's the case, I'm afraid I won't be able to do that. Because if I wound up actually meeting the people who are running these bots in person, it wouldn't go well. Let's just say that would cover their hospital bills. But with that, thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $4 super chat from Got Milk to Go 1, who says, it's always sad to hear about cities being bombed. I have a friend in Kharkiv still, and I hope this war ends soon. Thanks for the war coverage.
Thank you so much for the support and enjoying our war coverage, and I do hope it does end soon. It's incredibly annoying to know that this war has been going on 4 or 5 months, and while I hate to say this war is not going in the direction a lot of people thought. And at this point, with it stretching on this long, and everyone entered this war with the thing will be over by Christmas kind of mindset, as in one side will win over the other very soon, we may be looking at a very long war here. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to say I believe that this isn't going to be ending anytime soon, but I still pray heavily that it will. If it does, it'll be a great thing for Ukraine, a great thing for the world, and hopefully the Russian government, the standing one, will collapse and be reorganized into a new one that may be much better. Or there's always the flip side that it could be much worse. But I do thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for enjoying what we do here. And I hope your friend in Kharkiv stays safe. And with that, we're on to the next question.
And up next, we have an $18 super chat from Martin Van Own, who says, do you think Kherson will be recaptured sooner with new materials, weapons, as Denny's says.
I believe so. Well, could you reread that one real quick, Matthew?
Yes, Martin says, do you think Kherson will be recaptured sooner with new material weapons, as Denny's says?
I think maybe. I'm sorry, but I've just been distracted by something in the live chat that we're about to get to here in a minute. So could you reread that one to me one more time, Matthew?
Yes, and Martin says, do you think Kherson will be recaptured sooner with new material weapons, as Denny's says?
I haven't watched Denny's show to know exactly what he's saying, but I do believe that the area of Kherson looks like it will most likely be retaken soon, with or without new tech. But I do believe that that is a possibility. So unfortunately, I haven't watched his show to back up what he's saying. But as a by and large principle, I do think that Kherson can be retaken with new technology being given to the Ukrainians. Now we're about to get to something here real quick. Matthew usually puts these people behind the shed and puts them down, but I do want to address this one because while I try and take the high road and not address anything that bots or idiots in general say, I have to cover this one because tonight I'm feeling a little frustrated, and so I just want to take out my anger on this particular idiot that we're seeing here. This guy called Black Sabbath 12 says, crying DDoS to get those donations. You can't get DDoS on YouTube. Well, just for you to know, first off, you're stupid. Second thing is that you can get DDoS on YouTube. That happens to us all the time. We haven't never had DDoS issues until just recently, and now we're starting to get throttled to zero, although our internet's okay. And so, just like the typical idiots that we have running through, hope y'all all give him a nice exit out the door, because of course we'll be silencing him and getting him on out of here. But I just gotta say, these are the kind of idiots that make me sick to the core, and true idiots through and through. Apparently not here since the start when I was literally doing this just out of the graciousness and everything. I still do it because of that, and all of y'all help me to keep doing that by supporting us and helping us to be able to do this full-time job since we work at it 60 hours a week. So if everyone could, please make sure to call him an idiot. And with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
All right, and next up, we have a $15 super chat from FR33 Rid3, who says, good work, guys. I started watching late. What is happening in Kherson? I saw Ukrainian troops walking towards the city.
It does appear that the Ukrainians have been making ground in the Kherson area, but as far as our video evidence goes and our news, we haven't seen them get that close to the city. Last we heard, they were around 7 miles to 5 miles away, and that is incredibly close. They could actually see the city from where they were, but beyond that, we don't really have much more to report on it at the moment. But if we do find that video where they're pretty much walking into the city, I will be ecstatic because that will be a major victory for Ukraine. And so with that, thank you once again for the support. I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Duan Champ 1988 once again, who says, the Soviet state made a statement saying that if there were claimed territories that don't follow Moscow orders, they will reinvade. Is this a clue that those lands are going independent from Russia?
In which lands was he talking about in particular?
The claimed territories, it doesn't really say.
Claimed territories, that may be talking about Crimea and the Donbass. And if that is the case, that sounds a lot like the Platt Amendment. And for those of y'all who don't know, during the Spanish-American War, Cuba was actually part of the Spanish Empire, if you could call it that at that point. And once we won, we founded the country of Cuba, the United States did. But one thing that we did that was really bizarre, and I understand know why the Cubans were pissed off about this, is that we added in this amendment to their constitution called the Platt Amendment, which gave the United States the right to, at any moment, whenever we saw that Cuba was going sideways, to invade their country and pretty much take it over and then do whatever we wish. And that pissed off a lot of Cubans, and I kind of feel like in the modern context, that threat right there is very similar to what the Platt Amendment was meant to be. And if it's talking about the Donbass, it's saying, we've set y'all up, y'all do y'all's things, but if you go sideways or go against what we're kind of doing, we're going to reinvade and pretty much reorganize y'all to be supportive of us again. And so, with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you very much for the support. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And next up, we have a $7 super chat from Mark, who says, why is Ukraine trying to take Severodonetsk head on? Wouldn't taking the flanks and starving them out be a better solution? Or am I missing something? If it's not safe for this info to be released, I understand.
And what info was he asking for? I'm getting distracted by the chat because it's going a million miles an hour over here. I might have to close that here so I can pay attention.
Let's see. He is referring to Severodonetsk.
And what was he saying about it again?
So I'll read the question again. Mark says, why is Ukraine trying to take Severodonetsk head on? Wouldn't taking the flanks and starving them out be better? Or am I missing something? If it's not safe for the info to be released, I do understand.
I think you're talking about the Russians, because the Ukrainians, I think you're talking about the Russians. I think that may have been a misplacement of words, so I'm going to try and answer it that way, because I think that was what you're asking. But the reason why the Russians are trying to take the flanks and starve them. That's why they've pushed out from Popasna towards Bilohorivka, which is on the T-1302, and now they've cut off one of the major supply arteries of Ukraine. It also looks like they may be trying to cross this bridge here on the T-0513, which is on the other highway that's more west of Severodonetsk, and then reach Seversk, which would pretty much create an encirclement of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, where they could pick off the Ukrainians one by one and eventually force them to surrender. That looks like what they're going for right now, but this western finger has never formed, and this one is making a decent amount of progress. So they are going for that right now, and so I hope that does answer your question. And with that, I thank you so much for the support, and we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $33 donation from John Boyer, who says, Enforcer and Enforcer Matt have great intestinal fortitude in keeping the site online. Still, your resolve, your humor wins the day. You are getting to them, and Slava Ukraine, and of course, Slava Zelensky.
And I thank you so much for the support, John. You've been around forever, helping out this channel a lot. And I thank you so much for the kind words to me and Matthew. I'm going to be honest, I am a little miffed tonight. And that's also why I want people to take it out on the bots as much as possible. Because nothing would bring me more joy than to hopefully think that there's someone trying to run these bots behind a screen that has a tear falling from their eyes. Because at this point, they've caused me so much annoyance and trouble that I wish everything possible against the bots. And so I thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for enjoying our humor, because I try and make sure that it's humorous. Sometimes I think it comes off as cheesy, and hopefully that's part of the humor there, is that it's a little cheesy. So thank you once again for the support, and with that, we're going to move on to the next question. And thank you, John Boyer, for always being here and always being a longtime channel viewer.
And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Samuelis, who says, I am eating macaroni po-flotsky. Here is towards macaroni po-flotsky for you and some coffee.
I don't know what macaroni po-flotsky is. Macaroni po-flotsky. Macaroni po-flotsky. Oh, it's like hamburger helper stuff. At least that's what I would think when I'm looking at it, but it's a Russian dish made of cooked pasta mixed with stuffing made of stewed ground meat. Oh, stewed ground meat and fried onions and seasoned with salt and black pepper. It sounds good. I might want to try that someday. And so with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for the Macaron Ploflotsky Fund. We will be looking into that, and we will be seeing about trying some of that delicious food here soon. And so with that, I hope that does address the comment, and we are on to the next question.
And moving on, we have a super chat from May NG, who puts in a $199.99 super chat. Very, very generous, and thank you very much for that. Who says, Dear enforcers, you got to call Alexei Arostovich if you are frustrated by the Russian interference. He is a Ukrainian superstar, keeping Ukrainians morally, politically, and militarily and psychologically under control. You can get a translator if necessary, but he can keep you going.
Well, I thank you so much for the support and also the recommendation. Unfortunately, I never really am able to focus on individuals in the war. I'm always focusing on the big picture, and so sadly, I've never heard about them. But there's a lot of big figures over there in Ukraine right now that are helping to keep the nation going. One of those people is Operator Starsky, who has been on our stream before and has been doing a good deal to try and report what's been going on in Ukraine. And so I thank you once again for the support, and I will see about reaching out to him. And I thank you so much for helping this channel to keep on going. Everyone's support's been amazing tonight. It's been a tough night for us to get through, and it's wonderful to know that a lot of people do care about us and do want to keep this stream running. And so with that, I thank you once again for the kind words and also the generous support. And with that, we're going to move on to the next question. And I thank you so much once again.
All right. And while I stall for just a moment here, while I try to get my spreadsheet organized, Let's see. Up next, we have a $20 super chat from Jake Mays, who says, I love the question segment. It's my best fix for me, being an information junkie. So thank you to all.
Well, I thank you so much for enjoying the question segment. Sometimes it seems to be the ire of some people. There are people who come on to my news show where I talk about the news and the war in Ukraine and don't want me to talk, which is always funny to me. And then the question segment is where I talk the most, which I know must aggravate these people to a massive degree. But I do thank you so much for the support. And I thank you so much for supporting this channel so that way we can continue to do question segments and always be able to recognize all of our generous viewers who help us to keep this channel running. I once again want to note that y'all are the only reason we're able to keep running these streams, because we don't run any ads, and so we don't make any money off of AdSense. And so this is the only way we can actually support ourselves and keep doing this stuff. So I got to thank you once again, because y'all support helps to keep running the news and also these question segments. And with that, we're on to the next question, and thank you so much once again for the support.
And up next, we have an $8 donation from Rick George, who says, please keep donating and keep them up all night. Haha, I am just joking.
Well, I thank you so much for the support and also the funny little joke there. We're always appreciative of the support, and of course, we always want to say if y'all feel hard pressed financially, but y'all still feel inspired to support, I highly suggest that you do not support. I don't want anyone to get into a very bad situation because they're incredibly generous, but I do thank you all so much for the support and showing that y'all do want this channel to keep running and how much y'all enjoy this channel and Matthew and me running it. So thank you once again, and with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
And next up, we have an $8 super chat from Nerber777 again, who says, 4 M142 MLRS are a test to see if Ukraine can do the logistics. If so, 100 more are on the way, question mark.
I think the United States is sending over as much as it can. It is sending over some M270s as well, which have twice the carrying capacity of the M142. But I think this is about as much as the United States is willing to give, and the M142s are fairly expensive when also accompanied by their ammunition. And so, with that, I hope that does answer the question. I think that we're going to see more coming over there, but we're not going to see 100. I think there's only about 400 of these things in the world. But let me check and make sure, according to Wikipedia, which is as reliable as you can get. But anyways, there's 540 of them around the world. And so if we were to give 100 of these to Ukraine, we would be giving up 20% of the United States' MLRS force and most likely not getting it back, which is something that the United States will always be thinking about in the back of its head. So with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you so much once again for the support. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Lawrence Krieger, who says, bots show you are making a difference.
And I thank you for the support, and I do have to say that it is certainly making a difference, apparently, because the bots hate us, and they want us dead, and at this point, I kind of want them to do the same as well. And so with that, thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the question. And I saw a question here that I would like to answer in the live chat. And you know what, we're not going to answer that because I feel like it'll get political. But anyways, with that, we're on to the next question.
And I have no idea why, but I can no longer see the poll in our control panel. I'm not sure if you can see it, Enforcer, but I was actually about to close it, but I can't. But it looks like Burger King is in the lead. Oh, there it went.
Yep,
Burger King was in the lead, and it looks like it was followed by McDonald's, and then poor old Tasty's down there with the 10%. I'm not sure who'd want to eat at Tasty's. I guess some people are just curious what it's like. But from what I saw in a video earlier today, it looks like they're serving up McDonald's sauces and stuff, but they're trying to pretend like it's not McDonald's. So, yeah, McPutin's is what it really is. But moving on, our next super chat is from C.A. Lags, who puts in a $5 donation and says, bots are like flies. They go where there's good, you know what.
Well, thank you so much for the support and the compliment. I don't know if that was actually a compliment. Well, it was probably a compliment, but I do thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for helping this channel keep on running. And yes, I do believe that the bots go where the good stuff is, and I think a lot of viewers do as well, because even with the stream getting DDoSed and then having to restart again, we have 2,300 people in here, which is more than most streams could ever dream of getting to that have been covering this war. And believe me, I have traveled around and looked at other streams every once in a while, not for long, that are covering the Ukraine war, and I haven't seen many have such a following, specifically like the Leaf Spring Army does, which is really interesting to me. And I think a large part of that, if I was to guess why this these streams are so highly watched, is because of our Sunday night fundraisers and our actual dedication to supporting Ukraine, physically, instead of just through thoughts and prayers, which a lot of other channels are doing. So with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you once again for the support. And with that, we're on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Santiago Flores, who says the bots' fathers were hamsters and their mothers smelled like elderberries. Ha ha ha.
And that's very true. I know where you got that from. That was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I believe, which was a pretty solid movie. Also, a great question is, what is the terminal velocity of an unladen swallow? And with that, I hope that answers the question, and I thank you so much for the support. And with that, we're on to the next one, and currently, it looks like we've been able to run this stream for over an hour and 40 minutes, and we haven't been DDoSed yet. Of course, knock on wood, hopefully we won't, because the VPN is on, and it is hopefully defending us with some kind of shield. And so with that, we're on to the next question.
All right, and up next, we have a $4 super chat from Got Milk to Go 1, who says, it's always sad to hear about the cities getting bombed, but guess what? We've already read that one, and apparently got duplicated somehow, so we're moving on to the next one. And up next, we have a $4 super chat from Rodrigo da Silva, who says, shout out to the Enforcer gang, how Russians could keep the ground at Donbass region since Ukrainian artillery can reach 300 kilometers now, it just won't fly.
That's a great question. I don't think they will be holding it if the Ukrainians get a lot of that kind of artillery. The Ukrainians will be able to strike anything anywhere, and the Russians won't be safe regardless of where they try and hide. They can run, but they can't hide. And hopefully, the same story will go for the bots here on the stream. So with that, thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does address the comment at least a little bit. And with that, we're on to the next question, and I thank you for the support once again.
And up next, we have another $4 super chat from Alexandra Durand, who says, Quebec again, ha 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 ha. And yes, we do have a lot of rude people, but we can try to put them back in their place pretty much like everywhere else. Smiley face.
That is true. There's always kind people everywhere, and there's also rude people. And that also goes for everything. There's always great and there's always bad. That's why I generally try and not say a definitive statement about a group, like anything for that matter. But one thing I can say is that while I don't ever make a definitive statement on anything, not getting political here, but usually governments are the most inefficiently run thing on earth, regardless of who's running them. It could be communist, democratic, it could be a monarchy. They're always going to be the most inefficient thing. I think everyone can agree with that, and historically so, it is largely true. And with that, I hope that does address the question. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $4 donation from Junebug without the 72 on the end. So we have officially gotten super chats from both Junebugs tonight. So thank you very much, Junebug, for your support. And up next, we have a $2 super chat from NOYDB, who says, this certificate is officially good for one free egg.
And I thank you so much for the free egg. I don't know what's up with the eggs, but I do thank you so much for them, and we will try and cook it up into an omelet, or maybe some scrambled eggs since it's just one. But I do thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the comment, and with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $2 super chat from Zach Jeffers, who says, here's a donation to say F you to those bots.
And I thank you so much for the donation, and also F the bots. And so with that, I thank you for the support. I hope that does address the comment, and we're on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $2 donation from Zach Jeffers once more, who says, why not? Here's another one, F the bots.
And F the bots indeed, and I thank you so much once again for the second amount of support, and also F the bots again. And so with that, thank you, and we're on to the next question.
And the last one of the night goes to Junebug, who puts in a $2 donation once more and says, no oil for them bots.
And that's right, no oil for them, and we're going to make sure that they don't get much of anything else. We may start to construct some stockades for them and find out a way to put them in there and subject them to terrible tortures, like watching such terrible things as, I don't know. We'll have to come up with something creative. But I do thank you so much for the support, And with that, we've now reached the end of our super chats for the night, and we're now going to move on to answer probably 3 live chats. We're not wanting the stream to go on incredibly long tonight. We are trying to get off a little early, and so with that, we're going to answer 3 live chats, and then we're going to round out tonight's stream. And so with that, what do we got, Matthew?
All right, and first up from the live chat, guess who we have a question from? We have a question from none other than Packatang, who puts in questions every single night, and they're usually pretty good. So thank you very much for that, Packatang, and thank you for watching as well. So Packatang says, Enforcer, if Russia declares a general mobilization, would the Russian people rise up and purge Putin and the government?
I don't believe so. The Russians will most likely try and phrase it in a way that doing such a thing would seem destructive to the country. Of course, the Russians have no other information to go off of than what Russia is telling them, and so most likely, if a mobilization like that starts to occur, the Russians are just going to go along with it. And also, they'd be scared if they tried to stand up, they would be alone, and then they'd be arrested and put in prison, and it would have been pointless. And so I hope that does answer the question, and with that, we're on to the next one. And also, thank you for asking the great questions, Packatang. That was actually a pretty good one.
And next up, we have a question from Packrat, who says, how do you think this Kaliningrad blockade will fare in a couple of months? Would it potentially still be active?
I think it will fare fairly well. I think it'll be active for a pretty good long while. There's really no reason for the West to not lift it up. And I think within a few months, we're about to watch Kaliningrad without coal, most likely freezing and most likely starving. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. And we're on to the next one.
And let's see here. We had 2 more super chats come in. I'll address those real quick. We had a $2 donation from Mr. Lunchtime. And Mr. Lunchtime is our resident Russian. I don't know how to say it, so I won't say it. But you know about Mr. Lunchtime. He says Tasties is the best.
Ew.
And he likes Tasties.
No one likes Tasties, Mr. Lunchtime. Get the hell out of here. But I do thank you for the support, and I hope that does address the comment. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 donation from WL, who says, why didn't the USA send more HIMARS?
The USA did not send more HIMARS, maybe because they were trying to see how well they will fare, or they may have decided that that's the maximum amount they can send at the moment. And maybe that's all they can send. So unfortunately, I don't have a clear answer for that. That's probably hidden within political and military circles that I'm not privy to. But I do thank you so much for the support, and I hope that kind of gives at least an idea of how it may be answered. And so with that, we're now back on to our live chat questions. I think we have 2 left, don't we?
I think so.
All right, and with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a question from Brent B, who says, Enforcer, any news from the West at all? My father-in-law left Canada to head back home outside of Lviv. He is stressed about his safety, or I'm stressed about his safety, I meant to say.
Well, I thank you for the question, and it's a great one. Unfortunately, we haven't been getting a lot of news out there. I consider no news to be great news, and we haven't heard of any missile attacks or anything similar like that in the western area of Ukraine. And so right now, I think he will be safe, and I thank you so much for asking the question, and I'm relying on our news to try and get an answer like that. And, of course, take it with a grain of salt. I may be wrong. There may be videos that for some reason I'm not seeing, but so far the West has been incredibly quiet, which is a great thing for the safety of everyone out there. And so I hope that does answer the question, and I hope that your dad does stay safe. And with that, we're on to the last question of the night.
And the last question of the night goes to, let's see here, goes to Tenuven, who says, there are a lot of fires around the region the AA shot itself. Why do you think it is so widespread, and do you think it is artillery?
I think that the reason why fires are widespread around there is because that may not be the first time that something like that's happened, or it may actually be artillery, or it could be that the Toshkas that were fired from Ukraine were aimed at an ammo depot in that area, and that AA vehicle was trying to shoot those rockets down and then blew itself up in the process, and then those rockets hit anyways and started causing fires at these ammo storages. I can't really give you a definitive answer on that because I didn't really know about the fires until this moment, but I hope that those explanations may give a better idea of what it could be. And so with that, that is the last question of the night, and we have now rounded out tonight's stream. I thank you all once again for the support. Of course, it's wonderful to answer everyone's questions, and it's good to know that we have a massive amount of support while we're trying to run these streams, get through the news, and pretty much fight what feels like half of the world to try and cover it. I thank you so much, all of you, every single one of you, once again, for being members of the Sleep Spring Army and bearing with us through these very difficult times. There will be a day in the future where these streams will run smoothly once again, and hopefully that day will be tomorrow. And so, thank you all once again. We're going to see if we can transition to the outro card right here with the hotkeys, and if we can't, I'll switch over to OBS and play it there. But I thank you all so much for watching once again, and I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time to report the day 122 news. Thank you all once again, and I hope you all have a great night. Stay safe and take care.